Firestorm, man. Nobody calls Han Solo a bitch.
Bring him on. I prefer a straight fight to all this sneaking around.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
Oh, come on, bro. It's the wars.
Oh, how the Star Wars fan dynamic has changed. We're 3 weeks out from the release of The Rise of Skywalker, 2 weeks from the final of The Mandalorian, and we're talking about the future of Star Wars? This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe, and of course with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey Doug, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. We are talking, I mean, we'll get to it, but we're already starting to talk about the future.
Oh, I know. And
I mean,
yeah,
I don't remember a time like this where we're like, oh yeah, there's more coming.
Yeah, there's more coming, and
wrap up a trilogy. It's like, oh, I can't wait for the next one. No, that's not a thing in Star Wars.
Right. Yeah, we're used to waiting a decade and a half for the next thing, right?
Yeah. And there's already rumblings. The rumor mill's fired up. The next series of films. Yeah. Yeah. It's we're in those days now.
Yeah, I know. I love it.
But I guess to kick it all off, we'll stick with The Rise of Skywalker a little bit. Turbulent times.
Yeah, definitely.
Turbulent yet about to make $1 billion.
Right.
I think the majority, I think it's safe to say the majority of fandom is looking at this favorably.
I would agree.
But there are, outliers, as there always are in Star Wars. It's what we do.
Sure.
There's always a portion of fandom that's not happy with what they got.
Right.
So I guess all's good in Star Wars.
Right.
All's normal. Situation normal.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, this has been a thing since 1999. You know, I mean, even before that with the special editions.
Oh yeah. I mean, there are still people walking around with T-shirts that say Han shot first, right? So.
Yep. Everybody's clamoring for a release of the original theatrical versions.
Yeah. So what are you talking here?
Well,
you want to say the word?
Well, Justice League has the Zack Snyder cut.
Right.
Everybody's asking for the Snyder cut.
Yep.
Well, now fans are asking for the JJ cut.
That they are.
Well, first off, this one's just, I gotta say, it's kind of dumb in its terminology because, J.J. Abrams is the one who put out this cut of the movie. I mean, his name's on it.
Yes.
Whether the board or the brass did whatever, it's still JJ's cut.
That's the resounding thing I keep hearing is that JJ made a film, and for whatever various reasons, and we can get into those, we had to whittle this down to what we actually saw in the theaters.
Right.
So,
what we're talking another 40 minutes of runtime?
Yes, something like that. Which, okay, so that plays right into one of the rumors that I've heard is that Disney corporate wanted to be able to get more viewings in per day at the theaters. So it was an actual time thing.
Well, that sounds like a corporate decision to me.
Yeah.
Sounds legit.
So, the one consistent gripe I've heard with this movie is that it feels rushed, and I'll agree. There are times when it feels rushed. Well,
it was a whole lot of information to jam into, 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yes. And you and I've talked about it, right? You've called it it could use some room to breathe, right?
Yes.
And that's kind of how a lot of people feel about it. And I think we would have gotten a lot more of that with a longer movie. Now, like you said, it sounds like a corporate decision. If you recall a while back, like, fall leading up to the release, late October, early November, we were hearing numbers somewhere, around 2 hours, 22 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think we made that, did we?
Yes. It's 2 hours 20, right?
Is it? Okay. I forget.
Yeah.
We were hearing something longer though, right? Maybe 2:35, something like that. I don't know.
I remember a time where we were talking about, they might do 2 acts,
right?
Like an intermission. I'm like,
Right.
It's not really movie theater crap, like.
Yeah, true.
And then I heard that, there was going to be 2 separate films, a part 1 and a part 2.
Right.
Then there was talk of it's going to be a 3-hour film, like a Lord of the Rings type.
Right.
I don't see him doing that either. My thing is this, and I mean, I'm going to kind of jump to my conclusion a little bit ahead here, and we'll continue talking here, but
sure.
I just want to say, I feel like it's still a satisfactory film.
Absolutely.
It did what it needed to do. I do feel like they just wanted to get this over with, because they totally could have broke this up into another film.
Absolutely.
They totally could have made another film out of this. And if they're looking for, dollars, I mean, 2 films is going to be better than 1, right?
Yeah. There is that.
But at the same time, they wanted a trilogy. They were set on a trilogy. I don't think that's something they're going to do in the future. I think the idea of a trilogy is going to be kind of abandoned.
Right.
More about that later.
Right.
But yeah, and I think this is the reason. And I think this is probably a reason why it might be a good idea, especially if you're going to use different filmmakers along the way, not a consistent thread, the same writer, the same director, or at least the same writer. If you're going to have 3 films with 3 different writers, yeah, you're going to have some problems when you get to the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Because not everyone's creative vision is going to line up.
Yeah.
So I while I would love to have seen them make this a 3-hour plus film or make 2 films out of it, because for me, more Star Wars, the better. I also appreciate the idea of keeping it's wrapping up a trilogy of trilogies for the Skywalker saga. So,
right.
So I appreciate that, and I understand that.
Yeah, I get that too. I think so. In regards to this being expanded out into 2 films, I feel like there's only one way they could have done this, and I don't think I think for this, you said it, for this they had to keep the trilogy model, right?
Yes.
And I can hate to say it, but I can see them making the decision that we have to keep it under this time in order to be able to run it, 4 times in the theater this day as opposed to 3 times, right? That's more ticket sales. And the only way, in my mind, this could have worked playing out into multiple films is if they shot everything all in one shot, right? You got 6-8 months that you're shooting this thing and doing all of your edit work and all your special effects and all that, moving right from the one film into the other, okay? And you release Episode 9, Part 1 in December, Part 2 May 25th or whatever. You know,
Right.
that would be how it could work. And the other reason behind that I'm considering is we all know that JJ signed this deal with Warner Brothers, and he's going to have other obligations moving forward. So It's not like he was going to be able to come back in 2 years and finish this thing off. So
No, and we couldn't have done that. We couldn't have had a 2-year break.
no way.
No. This had to have been wrapped up. This at least by mid 2020.
Yes.
It had to be done. And there's a whole lot of stuff in the future that just it would rely on that. They already know that you can't release. And maybe the whole Solo thing made them gun shy about that, releasing Star Wars films 5-6 months apart.
Maybe. So okay. Here's hold on one sec here. Dominic Monaghan was talking about some of the stuff that he shot, right? He says, and I quote, "Like a lot of Star Wars fans, I'm hoping there will be a director's cut so we'll get to see more and more of the stuff that was filmed. I wasn't there all the time, but even in the short time that I was there was so much stuff filmed that didn't make it to the theatrical version. Oh man, there was so much stuff." So, we've been hearing this a lot, that there's a lot of stuff that got cut out.
Right.
On that point, another rumor that I've heard is they might pull an Endgame on us. And if we recall, Avengers Endgame was released, and I forget how much later it was. It wasn't too far into the run. They did a re-release with 10 extra minutes of footage, and everyone had to go back and see it again.
Well, they did that because of Spider-Man, right?
I forget why. I don't know why, but
Yeah, I think there was something related to Spider-Man Homecoming or whatever it was.
okay.
Whatever one came after Endgame. I don't know. I'm not caught up on Marvel. So I'm the worst person to ask on this.
I'm just hearing the rumors of people
Far
saying,
From Home.
Yeah, whatever it was. I think you're right. Far From Home, something like that. But
Spider-Man 17, whatever that is.
There's talk of them possibly doing, rumored talk of them possibly doing a re-release of Episode 9 with more minutes of footage added to it. So, what are your thoughts on that? Because I immediately, my brain goes to quote unquote Star Wars canon, right?
Yes.
It's like, so does that make the new footage canon? Where do we stand here, right?
It would have to make the new footage canon. And my thing is this, it's gotta, whatever additional cut would be released, okay? Can't go changing anything.
Right. Exactly.
Don't change nothing. Don't change this scene or that scene. You can build on stuff, expand the story. By all means, please expand the story, because that's one thing this film lacked, is any expansion on any threads that were, you got the introduction of a certain story thread and the conclusion of it.
Right.
You didn't get too many expansions on that. Palpatine. That's about 2 hours of footage I think you could put in there to explain how the hell Palpatine's still alive.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's one spot that people have a little bit of a hang up with, but
but for me, that's something that can be expanded on in a novel.
Yes.
And it's a great novel if just spitballing here, that's a great novel.
Well, our films were focused on our legacy characters and the handoff to the new characters, Poe, Finn, and Rey, right? That's where the focus was. This ancillary story is going on off camera. So that's where we're going to get that story, is in books and stuff.
Well, I mean, and this is the Star Wars way. Okay, let's all take a step back and realize that this is the Star Wars way.
It has been forever.
Because that bounty hunter on Ord Mantell changed my mind.
Exactly.
Wait, what the hell happened on Ord Mantell?
Yes.
There's tons of this in Star Wars.
Yes.
So there's tons of stuff that just feeds that and later gets told in a book or a live drama.
Yep.
Something like that. And yeah, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with some open-ended threads. It's Star Wars.
Exactly.
It feeds our speculation. It feeds our conversation. It's why we can talk every week.
Absolutely.
And it's why Star Wars fans, when we're together with our friends, we can talk about it every day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just...
And have something new to say about it every day. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, it's like, I was thinking.
Yep.
So that's the beauty of Star Wars, and I have no problem with stuff being open-ended. It doesn't all need to be wrapped up. Would some expansion on some things be nice? Sure. Would I like to see that in film? Absolutely. I mean, as a Star Wars fan, I'm never going to say no to more content.
Exactly.
But at the same time, I'm never going to say, oh, you need to tell me every little bit of everything, because I don't want that. I want to speculate. I want to have these conversations with my friends and come up with our own little headcanon and things like that. That's fun.
It is fun.
And then later on, years later, when we get this novel or this comic book or this that expands on that story, we get to see how wrong we were.
Yeah. Happens all the time.
And that's fine. I mean, and look, everybody that's upset right now about being wrong, it's Star Wars. Get used to it.
Right.
I mean, one thing they're good at is like completely coming up with something that we didn't see coming. They're good at that.
Exactly.
And to see that alive is a little refreshing.
Yeah.
With all the negativity that's come with, the new Star Wars, there's a lot of positives to take from it too. And I think it's taken Disney a little time to get their bearings.
Right.
But I'm feeling like they're getting their bearings and they're heading the right direction.
Overall, I'd say yes. I would agree with you. I'd like to hit on another rumor as far as the Rise of Skywalker goes, and the quote unquote JJ cut, right? Mm-hmm. Something that has been rumored that was cut was when Rey has the moment where she reaches out and is actually encouraged by all the past Jedi. I heard that was actually added, and what was taken away was a scene where she has both lightsabers and she's deflecting the lightning back on Palpatine. I heard there were multiple Force ghosts, and we're talking Luke, Leia, Anakin, Qui-Gon Jinn, all of these characters as Force ghosts assisting her in defeating Palpatine. So, for me, and the rumor is that scene was shot and then deleted. So, for me, that scene done that way would have added a bunch to this movie, because I don't want to take anything away from the character of Rey, but I also feel like when you have, and I understand, right? It's Palpatine versus Palpatine here, but in order to defeat this ultimate evil, we brought Palpatine back because he has been, he has been developing this whole plan, this master plan over the course of decades upon decades. And this is the culmination of all of it. And in order to defeat him, Rey can draw on the power of all these past Jedi. That would have been, I don't know, that would have been the ultimate ending of that battle for me. Thoughts?
I don't know. I like it. Just because you would have saw like kind of this what's the word I'm looking for? You kind of get to it's kind of one of those things that puts a neat bow on your saga as a whole.
Right. Because
all these major players take part in the final battle. So yeah, I'd have liked it. I would have thought it would have been even cooler if behind Palpatine you see some, like, maybe not Force ghosts, but maybe some illusions of other Sith
apparitions.
Sith. Yeah,
something like
so you
that.
see like a Bane and a Plagueis and a
right.
like
similar to what we saw Yoda confront in the Lost Missions with Bane.
Yeah,
that would have been kind of cool.
But to see them appear behind Palpatine, because he's saying, I'm all the Sith.
Yes.
To see that happen, and then all these Jedi appear behind Rey, and this is the climax of the eternal struggle.
Yes, exactly.
And the light prevails.
Yep.
I think if you're going to do all that behind Rey, I think it would have been only suited that Palpatine had something show up behind him.
Right.
Because, I mean, you don't want it to seem just like, okay, you got this bad guy and your hero needs help from all these Jedi of old. Right?
Right. That's not what that's not the way.
Yeah. No. I'm not, that's not what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, to have that scene, I think it makes your hero look like your hero just needs all this help. And your villain doesn't. I think if your villain summons that help, and then your hero summons that help, and then that side prevails, I think that looks a lot, and it gives you this whole balance thing, and yeah, it would have been cool.
I'd be okay with that. I wouldn't have a problem with that one bit. The one thing that, not the one thing, another gripe I've heard people have with this is they really wanted to see, in particular, Anakin back in this film, and I don't think that the movie lost anything by not having him.
Incredible, since they hate the prequels. But
these aren't no. These are prequel people. Okay, these are people that grew up with the prequels. That's what they wanted to see. They wanted to see Anakin as a Force ghost in this film, and I would have been okay with that too, because it's the whole chosen one thing, right? Which I totally get.
So not to go down this road too much, because I know you have a clip that's going to address this.
Yes,
but the chosen one thing was fulfilled.
Yes.
So I don't think that just because something happens again means that Anakin didn't fulfill the prophecy. He absolutely did. Because someone else comes in and intervenes and resurrects someone doesn't take away from him fulfilling the prophecy.
Hey, how do we know that's what happened?
Did. Huh?
I said, how do we know that's what happened?
Well, the Emperor said he was dead.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, that is in the dialogue. He was dead. He was brought back somehow. We don't know how the hell he was brought back, but he was brought back. So that's going to be a story for another time, I hope.
Yes.
I mean, this needs to be a novel. I mean, I hope they're writing it right now.
Exactly. I just think something like that, which, it's pure rumor from what I've heard, supposedly had been shot, all the Force ghosts and all that. It would have gone a long way to endear this movie to a lot more people. Like we said, overall, this is pretty well respected movie, but there are some who have certain complaints.
Well, I will say that Anakin showing up in that film, all the little precursor teasers and everything were there. I mean, Hayden Christensen just appeared out of nowhere and was everywhere. And not only was he everywhere, but he was showing up places with Ian McDiarmid. And like there was just a lot going on with Hayden.
Yeah.
And it just made sense that he was going to make an appearance in this film. I think it was shot.
I think it was shot too, because you are right. They were doing these special appearances at children's hospitals and things like that, and
he was at Celebration.
Exactly.
He hasn't been to a celebration since when?
Yeah, I have no idea.
99, 2002?
Right. Right. So I don't know. The I don't want to call them facts, but there's a lot of stuff that would lead you to believe that this stuff was shot. So
I mean, I would lean towards the reason why that was cut was because they wanted to include these other Jedi, especially the not live action ones.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just me spitballing here. That
sure.
Seems like a legitimate reason why they would change their mind on using Anakin, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon,
Well, I will say this much. For me, I could see all of the main ones that I brought up earlier being the first row, and then you have kind of like a little more hazy blue glowies in the second row that you know who they are, but you can't quite make out all their features that are all digital, right? So it could have been done. It's I don't know.
Ooh. I just had a thought.
Yeah.
And this is just this would definitely upset some people, but what if in that sequence Ben had died after being thrown down that hole?
Uh-huh.
And within that sequence of her fighting back, his Force Ghost showed up and lended his strength.
Ooh.
Amongst the others.
And then she never does die.
Correct.
Right. That would have been interesting.
And it would have been him taking part in the final end.
Yeah.
Alongside his grandfather that he was worshiping as
Oh. Now that would have okay.
I'm telling you, man, they should have had me in on the discussion.
Yeah. So I like that a lot, actually.
First Anakin walks up.
Now, okay, but what? Some people, might feel a little robbed then, because we would have never had the opportunity for, the kiss, right?
Well,
so, I mean,
my advice is that you're always going to feel robbed.
Right? Yeah. Star Wars will never give you everything you want.
I'm not saying this is absolutely the way it should have went. I'm just saying it was a cool idea.
It's a cool idea, for sure.
I mean, if you're going to do the blue glowies.
Yep.
I mean, you got Luke, Anakin, and Kylo.
Yeah.
It's the Rise of Skywalker.
Oh my God. To help.
And then at the end, when she says she's a Skywalker, after that.
Yes.
Luke, Leia,
Yeah. He had
Anakin.
4. Yeah.
Anakin, his 2 kids, and his grandkid help Rey defeat Palpatine again.
Beautiful. Well, so this goes along with what you were saying. If there's another release with more footage, it can't change the story.
Right. No, they can't change it. And what's done is done.
Yeah, I agree. Right. We have the Star Wars we have, right? So
And I'm just saying what sounds cool in my head.
absolutely.
I'm not, this is what we do. We don't discredit anyone else's stuff.
No.
And that's not what I'm doing here. This is me saying what I thought would be cool. I feel like there's probably some, people that were in the writing room going, son of a bitch. That's good. I kid.
Hey, it could happen.
But, this is what we do.
It is what we do.
So, yeah. Rise of Skywalker. I mean, it's in the name.
It is.
All right. So, before we wrap up the Rise of Skywalker here, you had a clip.
Oh, yes. All right. So this is J.J. Abrams, and it's going to cover a couple things that we touched on in our conversation here. He was speaking at the Star Wars Disney special panel. In this panel, they had him and Chris Terrio and like all the effect supervisors and sound editors, and, everyone on the stage talking about what it took to make the movie. And this was, JJ had a good thought that I liked his approach, talking about what he was thinking when he was going about making this. So at least on this aspect of it. So let's check it out.
This whole trilogy, this 7, 8, and 9, is really sort of about the generation that sort of follows the Great Generation, and the idea of balance, bringing balance to the Force, which is the whole point of those the Chosen One, Anakin, the original trilogy. What I loved was the idea that balance brought to the Force doesn't mean it's forever. It's not immediately everlasting, and I think the idea that if we are not careful, that the ultimate evil will rise again, that we have to be, proactive in doing what we can to maintain the balance. And how does the generation that follows the Great Generation do that? And the idea that these 2 main characters, both the grandchildren of these, crucially important, characters, the Palpatine and the Skywalkers, the idea, as Chris was saying, these 2 houses coming together in this next generation felt like there was an inevitability to it. And if one were to watch 1 through 9, 50, 100 years from now, hopefully you feel that these stories were inevitably leading there.
So
it's like, after World War I, how did we have a World War II?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this again?
Exactly. Yeah.
And how do you learn from the mistakes of old? That I like that.
Exactly. It's funny you had that thought, because when I listened to this, the thought I had was during the founding of the United States, there's an anecdote of Ben Franklin coming out of the Capitol building at the time, and a woman asking, "So what do we have? A monarchy or a republic?" And he says, "A republic, if you can keep it." Yeah. So, and that's what it's all about. It's all about the masses, right? The people staying vigilant, right? Which, it's an often overlooked piece of what the sequel trilogy has shown us, but it is there.
Yeah.
Is that the New Republic kind of got complacent pretty quick. So
in their arrogance of we're not going to do that again, they did it again.
Exactly. So I do like that thought pattern that JJ has there. and it makes total sense, right? I mean, just because you have a chosen one and they bring balance to the Force doesn't mean the Force will eternally be in balance, for sure. I love that.
Right.
So,
well, it's the eternal struggle.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It's good and evil. Good never triumphs forever in any story.
Right.
There is not a single story out there where good is, they win and it's happily ever after forever and ever.
You took the words out of my mouth. The happily ever after. You took them right out of my mouth. That's exactly right.
It's happily ever after until you screw up again, which is inevitable.
Exactly. It's bound to happen.
And your screw up, it might not even be a screw up. An oversight, it only takes one group to be disenfranchised for it to spiral out of control.
Exactly. Or complacency, right? You get comfortable living the way you are, and you're not vigilant to certain threats,
Yeah. Yep. I mean, the saying, those who, don't remember history are doomed to repeat it.
Right.
I mean, I think inevitably you're doomed to repeat it anyway.
Right. But if you study history,
you can definitely delay it.
If you study history, you know how to deal with it, because yes, somebody is doomed to repeat it for you.
Yes. And not only do you have you study history, you're doomed to repeat it, but you have people who study history and are, just taken by the bad people. Like, wow, they had it right.
Right.
You can't account for everybody's thinking.
Well, yeah. I mean, even after everything that's gone down in the Star Wars galaxy, right? We see with our own eyes by episode 9, there's arenas full of Sith acolytes.
Yeah.
These are people obviously disenfranchised with what the New Republic was doing, right? I mean, it's almost astounding to me that there would be that many.
Or there's just people that thought that, even in The Mandalorian. I mean, you listen to the client talk.
Right.
And did they ever say his name?
No, as far as I know, it's a client.
I thought they mentioned I thought Moff Gideon mentioned his name, but maybe not. Either way.
Yeah.
Either way, he says, look around you. Is it better? So there are people who look, it's not better.
Right.
On this.
And this.
Because.
Go ahead.
And what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, this goes back to another Star Wars-ism. It all depends on your point of view.
Yes.
From a certain point of view, things could be better or things could be worse.
Yeah. There's obviously a point of view of the Empire that it was better than the Republic.
Right.
And there's obviously a point of view where the First Order is a better option than the Republic.
Right. I mean, you think about it from the client's point of view, he must value order and structure far more than he values freedom.
Peace by the iron fist, man. It's
and freedom is messy, right? So I love it. I love viewing it from all these different angles.
Yep. So, yeah. I guess that'll do it for the Rise of Skywalker for right now. But I don't see us stopping talking about this film anytime soon.
Oh no.
Or this trilogy, for that matter. I think this film is kicking this trilogy back into high gear.
For sure.
Have something to add to the conversation? Or you just want to let us know how we're doing? Email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best place to get in on the action. But if social media is a little more to your liking, at The Wars and More on Twitter is always a good place to interact with us. And we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/The Wars and More. And of course, your portal to this and everything else, The Wars and More, is thewarsandmore.com. Okay, I lied. Not quite done with Rise of Skywalker yet. Yeah, I looked at my notes. I'm like, crap.
This happens, right?
Yeah. So, these are major things, but minor things compared to what we just talked about as far as like depth, right?
Right.
So, The Rise of Skywalker has been nominated for 3 2020 BAFTA Film Awards.
Cool.
Any guesses?
Let's say best actor. I'm probably
just
wrong.
remember, it's Star Wars.
I know.
What would stand out?
Wait. Music?
Okay.
Probably something like special effects.
Okay.
Stuff like that. It's
All right.
It's I
So
don't
it's the obvious stuff.
yeah.
So we've got best original score,
Okay.
best sound,
Okay.
and best special visual effects.
Nice.
So you're right on.
I was trying to be optimistic and
Best actor.
yeah. I mean,
That's not something they give to Star Wars,
right.
ever.
I know.
Even though I think Adam Driver was pretty spectacular.
That's the thing. It's like there's a lot of great acting work that's been done in Star Wars, and
Yeah.
Granted, there's been the power converters and I hate sand and all that, but there's also been some good stuff. So
I mean, for me, like, and the reason I say Adam Driver, like Daisy Ridley was spectacular. Like, there was a lot of spectacular acting in The Rise of Skywalker,
right,
but only one character had to play a duality in his character
true,
through 3 films, and Adam Driver had to do that. He had to play a Ben Solo and a Kylo Ren.
right,
And I think he did a good job of showing that duality. I think he deserves an acting award for that. There was definitely a double character there.
it is true.
He was constantly just battling this fact that he couldn't be full bad.
Right.
And it was something that I wanted to see him go full bad. And then I saw this movie and I'm like, I can live with that. And the writing, okay, yeah, it was okay, but it was Adam Driver's performance that sold me on, okay, I guess he can still walk that line.
Right.
So, yeah. But yet, typical Star Wars awards announcements.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Best original score. I mean, there's John freaking Williams.
I know. That one's almost a given, right?
Yeah. Like, if they don't get nominated, it's like a slap in the face.
Exactly.
So, and the score for that film was so good.
It was, for sure.
So good. I mean, definitely a kick-ass way for John Williams to go out, because that's the last time,
Oh, yeah.
folks. That's all. John Williams is done.
Right. With Star Wars.
Yes. And it's sad.
It is sad. But
we can definitely revel in the fact that he has given us so much good music
right.
for so many years, and given a foundation for Star Wars music to go forward. I mean, we've seen evidence of this already
Oh, yeah.
with Rogue One and Solo. We've seen in the Clone Wars.
And the
And
Mandalorian.
Rebels. Oh, Mandalorian. Yeah. The list goes on.
That one sticks out right now to me. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think of those scores, though, I think Rogue One is my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Michael Giacchino, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's fantastic. And who did Solo? I'm not remembering.
I'm drawing a blank.
Let's just look this up real quick because
why?
John Powell.
There you go.
He did fantastic.
Absolutely.
But Michael Giacchino's score was just next level.
Totally.
And this the Mandalorian score is just fantastic.
Yeah.
Really good. And it's what we got to look forward to. We got the foundation, and it's such a strong foundation that it appears that any composer of note can come in and work with it.
Right.
And expand on it and make it their own, but still pay tribute.
Right.
So, yep. Gonna miss John Williams at the same time. All right. So this one, I am hoping this doesn't go bad when I bring this up.
Okay. I'm interested.
But so the Rise of Skywalker Visual Dictionary has apparently introduced a change in the saga's year 0. So we've always known it being before the Battle of Yavin and after the Battle of Yavin.
Uh-huh.
ABY, right?
Right.
Well, the Visual Dictionary alters that to before Starkiller Incident and after Starkiller Incident.
Okay, I'm going to ask the really important question here.
Why?
Why?
The answer is I don't know. I can't tell you why. My only guess is that the target time frame in the future is going to be post Starkiller Incident. Now, the immediate future totally disagrees with that.
Yeah.
So everything we see coming is before all that. So still going to be in that, and hell, it's going to be way before the Battle of Yavin.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
I mean, yeah, we will. But as far as films go, right? So we're talking Disney Plus stuff. It might be post Battle of Yavin, but only by a few years. So
Right.
It's not. Wow.
I'm just guessing. Okay, so we know of these films coming in 2022, starting in 2022.
I'm wrong. Now that I think about it, everything we know of that's coming out, other than The Mandalorian will be the only thing after the Battle of Yavin. Kenobi would be before it. Cassian would be before it. Huh. Sorry. Yep. I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know.
Well, you saying that out loud makes this even worse.
Right.
But I'm assuming, so we know Rian Johnson's still on deck for another series of films.
Okay.
I'm guessing this is going to be after the Starkiller Incident.
I'm still at the point where I say why? Because
I think that's going to be the moving forward. I don't think we're going to see a majority of content coming before the Starkiller Incident. I think moving forward from here, okay, yes, initially we're going to see a bunch of stuff before. But I think we're going to see a majority of content in the future after that being after.
I still don't understand why it matters. Why?
Because they own it now.
Yes, that's it. That's what I was just going to say. Do you think this might be a decision made, again, around some boardroom table where they say, you know what? This is ours now. Let's identify year 0, quote unquote, with one of our films. Maybe.
You want to know the super big problem with this timeline?
What's that?
It's because when you look at it, so it's like 0 after Starkiller incident, right?
Yeah.
And on that line, you have 2 films.
Yeah.
The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi.
Exactly.
And then you have 1 year after Starkiller incident, The Rise of Skywalker. It's like,
They're all
okay.
bunched up together.
Yeah, you're setting year 0 on 3 films that are literally a year apart in the timeline.
Right.
Where you look at episode 1 at 66 before Starkiller, or 66, 56, 53 before Starkiller incident. Is that spread, right?
Wow. Okay.
And then A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi are 34, 31, and 30.
Wow. That just sounds odd to me. I mean the numbers, the math, it makes sense, but it just sounds odd to me.
Yes.
Gotta say, I don't think I like it.
Yeah, I think the starting point being the starting point makes the most sense. Like the Battle of Yavin took place in literally the first Star Wars ever.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
it makes sense to be the starting point.
Right.
Maybe someday in the future this will all make sense. But yeah, it's not making sense right now.
No.
Maybe this is a visual dictionary thing and that's going to be that. I don't know. Maybe this is a test run.
Maybe.
I mean, in all honesty, this is a pretty minute change.
Yes.
I mean, in the end, what's it matter at what point you start from when you explain where this story takes place? I guess it really doesn't matter.
It doesn't, and I gotta say, this whole Battle of Yavin thing kind of grew organically throughout the fan base and the writers who are writing books and things like that years ago, and it's established a lexicon for how fans speak to each other. So why are we going to go and try and change that now?
I mean, in all honesty, they can do what they want and we'll just keep keeping on.
That's pretty much what I think will probably happen, because I just can't see. You're always going to be referring back to that in your head to try and figure it out, right? Because you just know as of right now. When you say,
it's going to be interesting in a few years if my nieces keep up with Star Wars. Right now they like it, but they're real young. So.
Yeah.
But it's going to be real interesting when I'm saying, oh yeah, it happened, 15 BBY. They're like, what?
And that's exactly what I was just about to say. As Star Wars fans right now, you can say BBY, ABY, and they know what you're talking about. I don't know. Interesting. I guess I just don't see a benefit to make the change. So
I agree. Hashtag not my timeline.
I like it.
Which is, like I said, it's fine. If you want to use the new timeline, that's cool. I'm just not going to know what the hell you're talking about.
Right.
And that's okay. You're just going to have to explain it to me, and I'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
It just makes more sense to me to start the timeline where it all started. I understand you purchased it, and this is where your timeline starts. But yeah, the timeline starts A New Hope.
Exactly.
It just does.
Okay.
But whatever. It's not a big deal.
Right.
Just thought I'd bring it up because I thought it was odd. It's just odd.
Yeah, it was definitely odd.
I mean, I think even in Disney canon, when you open one of these novels, I think it has where it takes place in the timeline.
Right.
And it has BBY, or ABY.
Yeah.
This is a new decision.
This is not the sort of thing that you establish you know, 8 years after you've bought the thing, right?
No, you do it like now.
You do it day one, and you say, "From henceforth, we will now be known as
Shall be known as before the Star Killer incident."
Exactly. Oh, sorry. That's what I imagine they sound like.
Right. Darth Iger.
Oh, nice. Wow, you took it to the next level. I like it.
Do what must be done.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome. Ah, I love it. Oh,
I digress.
yeah. Oh, this is great.
All right. Okay. Anything more for the Rise of Skywalker before we move on?
I'm thinking I have something I could do, but I think we'll save that for later because it might take up too much time. So I'm thinking we move on.
All right. Moving on. So, MakingStarWars.net has put out some information on the next era of films.
The next era of films.
Yeah, the next series of films, the 2022 films.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Okay, good.
So the next set of films, if you will.
Right, and we won't call it a trilogy.
No, because it sounds like the trilogy thing is going to be a thing of the past.
Right.
Which, okay, whatever. But,
well, yeah.
So, timeline. I don't know where this takes place before the Starkiller incident.
Do the math.
But I know, okay, so it's probably around 430 years before the Starkiller incident, because it's about 400 years before the Skywalker saga, which means, oh, wait, crap.
Yeah.
That means
450 years.
Yes. So we're looking at 466 years.
There we go. Yeah.
Before the Starkiller incident. Wow, episode 1 was 66 years before Starkiller incident.
Right, which just makes Anakin sound old.
Maybe 70 something.
Right.
But anywho, I said I digress and then I go back to it.
Yeah.
It's horrible form.
It's all right.
So, the new Star Wars saga is said to take place during an era called the High Republic era. So not the Old Republic, not the New Republic, the High Republic.
The High Republic.
Probably this is what they're going to call the height. You know, this is before the peak of the Republic, if you will.
Huh.
So imagine Rome during its glory days.
Okay.
So not in the beginning, not at the end, somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the High Republic. Wow, interesting. So they are actually differentiating this from the Old Republic.
So it will be the Old Republic.
Okay, it will
because
be
the Old Republic went on for
right, and that's what I'm trying to wrap my head around. So now they're actually denoting different segments of the Old Republic era.
Yes, because I mean, if you look at episode 1 took place during the Old Republic.
Yes.
It is the Old Republic. It is the Republic that's been around for generations.
Right.
So it's the Old Republic. The Old Republic just happens to span a great length of time. So they're differentiating, different eras of the Old Republic, if you would. They didn't want to say the Old Republic because everybody's going to go, oh, we're getting Revan.
Yeah, exactly.
So, no, it's not what we're getting here. This is going to it's about 400 years before the Skywalker saga. And that means that the Sith's rule of 2 It's in full effect.
Okay.
But Yoda's still alive,
Right.
or is alive at this point. Not
Yeah.
Still. So Yoda would be about in his prime, right? About
middle age, right?
500 years old.
Yeah.
Middle age, 500
Well,
years old.
for his lifespan,
It's true. I mean, 900 years old, right?
yeah. That's interesting. Wow. High Republic. So, do you figure the spice trade was like really kicking during that time, or what?
The High Republic, yeah.
Sorry, I could not help myself. So I like this. I just there's no indication as to what they're thinking. Like like I don't want to say a story outline, but I mean, I wonder what the thought is here, going back to that time frame. Because there's been so much speculation about going back to, quote unquote, the old Republic, to, the Revan times or whatever, or, I've even mentioned go even way further back, right? Let's see the origin of the Jedi or whatever, right? The Nomi Sunrider, whatever,
I mean, the thing for me here is how long had the Republic seen peace and, no war, things like that?
Right.
I mean, this is Star Wars. I mean,
yeah.
The absence of war is kind of like,
yeah, true. Yeah.
I mean, are we going to change the title to Star Pre-Wars?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, obviously there's conflicts going on because, well, it's not canon anymore.
Well, yeah, I get it. There's conflicts, but
but you don't have full out war. I mean, I guess you do. Because, okay, the precedent's there.
Yeah.
In Legends material. Because you had like the hyperspace war. You had, stuff like that.
Yeah. Again, that goes way further back though.
The hyperspace war? No, I mean, that would have been what? 40 years before A New Hope.
Oh, okay.
Because there was Valorum involved in that.
Okay.
So yeah, there was stuff. Things went down. But it's not going to dive into that eternal conflict.
Right.
So I think to get into that eternal conflict, you got to go back way further than that, because the Sith go underground for a long time.
Right. I mean,
and yeah, they foment little, conflicts and things like that, but it's hardly going to be really, really good material.
Well, I'm sure they're going to make it good. I don't see where the conflict would result from at this point, because, like you said, we're pretty much steeped in a time of peace. So this is going to have to be some smaller one-off, skirmish or something, because otherwise we're going to be looking at, maybe trying to dig into the origins of the Jedi getting lost into the dogma of what they were in episode 1, or and I don't know, that doesn't sound exactly thrilling to me right off the top, but
no, the politics of everything are good for the first movie.
Yeah,
but I mean, we're going to need to see some shooting by the second movie.
Yeah,
just saying,
and some lightsabers, right?
I mean, you're talking, you're going to be in really the height of the Jedi Order.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, that'll be cool. I mean, you're definitely going to see the Jedi in what would be not necessarily their prime, but close to it. I mean, the Sith are, at this time they think the Sith are vanquished.
Right.
Because I mean, they even say in Episode 1, the Sith have been extinct for a millennia.
Right.
Well, 400 years is not a millennia, so I mean, the math don't line up here. You can't have Jedi interacting with Sith at all. I'm saying 0.
Right.
So that's a problem.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. This is going to be interesting because
I mean, you're not going to have lightsaber to lightsaber combat because, 400 years is not a millennia.
Right. So, okay. So, the only other thing that just popped into my head here would be maybe we're talking about one of the fallen, right? The Jedi that fell from the Order and what they had to do to subdue them and their actions.
Well, yeah, a dark Jedi would not be a Sith.
Correct.
A fallen Jedi would not be a Sith,
right,
not in their eyes.
So
yeah, you could deal with Darksiders.
Something like that, maybe. But yeah, I'm having a hard time, like, trying to even come up with a concept that it's even feasible. I don't know. Somebody must have had a really good idea somewhere here along the line.
Well, I mean, more power to them.
Yeah, for sure.
Want to see it.
Yeah.
I guess they come up with something that's really good and I can't come up with it. So,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, Fallen Jedi, dark side pretenders. I mean, you're going to have conflict. Yeah. I mean, it's a big galaxy, the Jedi are the peacekeepers. But as far as like I said, the eternal, the eternal struggle, you're not going to get much of that in this time because the Sith have gone dark. They're laying low.
Yeah, and yeah,
I mean, the grand plan's no longer canon, but the grand plan.
I wonder if this might be targeted as some sort of a Yoda-centric story, because
it could be, and you could see the Sith. I mean, you could see the Sith in the story. They just cannot come into direct conflict.
Right.
So you could see them using proxies, things like that, fomenting chaos.
Yes.
But you cannot see them cross blades with the Jedi.
Right.
I mean, I guess you could, but that Jedi cannot walk away from that.
Right.
Like, that Jedi must die and never be able to speak of that.
Right. Yeah.
Which is going to be horrible for suspense.
Yeah, exactly. Because, I don't know.
That Jedi can't walk away from this.
It's got to be something else, right? I mean, I don't know. Like maybe an uprising in a system somewhere, right? And Jedi have to go in to put that down or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. Whatever I've come up with so far, I can't really come up with something that I would really enjoy seeing.
Well, no, it's not that I couldn't enjoy seeing it. It's just like, how do you make this a feature film?
Right.
A weekly series on Disney Plus, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
But a feature film, something I'm going to go sit in a theater for 2+ hours, and invest in, I don't know. I think it'll be unbelievably predictable. And yeah, just, I don't know.
Like I said, somebody had to have had a really good idea for a story during this timeline. And,
I mean, in all honesty, your Jedi can't be your main players in this. That's probably the way this is going.
That I could see.
Your main characters aren't going to be Force users and Jedi. They're going
Right.
to play a part, but it's not going to be. You're not going to be following around Yoda.
Right.
Okay. Because, seeing Yoda cut down a bunch of insurgents is not going to be that entertaining.
Right.
But seeing, said hero, whether it be a resist or a Republic shock trooper, or whatever,
and
following around said smuggler,
and don't get me wrong, because I'm loving what we're seeing right now, but let's not go to Mandalore. I think we're getting our fill of Mandalorian with what we are getting now. I don't know. I'd like to see something else in the Star Wars universe.
Well, yeah, I mean, and the Jedi and Mandalore war, I can't remember when that took place.
Yeah, I don't recall off the top of my head,
But I think a Jedi and Mandalorian war right now would be a little too much Mandalore.
yeah.
I mean, we're about to get Clone Wars Season 7.
Yes.
So, I don't know.
And when is that?
Oh, February 17th.
Yes.
Cannot wait.
That is right around the corner.
That's get ready to tune in, because we'll be going nuts, I think.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
We are definitely excited for that. That's I don't want to speak for you, Doug, but I'm pretty sure I'm speaking proper.
Yes. You are correct, sir.
The Clone Wars is that's some fantastic Star Wars right there.
Right.
But yeah, as far as this series goes, I mean, there's not much more we can say here, other than I believe it's Zero.hu, which is a Hungarian website.
Okay.
Is talking about Project Luminous. We've all heard this project before.
Ah, yes. This is the promise of what the Star Wars canon is to be, right?
Yes. And this High Republic era stuff is presumed to be part of Project Luminous.
Okay.
Okay. And it's supposed to kick off with a video game and a lot of information that corroborates the timeline. So I'm assuming comic books, novels, things like that is going to get us prepped for this film series.
Right.
Because, I mean, I think that's necessary, because look where we are right now.
Yeah.
Look at where we are in discussing this.
Exactly.
You can't just throw this movie out there right now and we're going to go, oh, I have to see this.
Yeah, for sure.
Can't. I mean, it works for us because it's going to say Star Wars, blah, blah, blah.
So I do want to make mention here, right? We brought up Project Luminous, right? And this is, I said this is the promise of what the canon is supposed to be, right? Which I think there's a way to differentiate what we have with what this project is supposed to give us. And that is in the current canon that we have right now, I would say what that is giving us is each of these different mediums and stories. What they're doing right now is avoiding stepping on each other's toes. Whereas Project Luminous, I think, is promising to be more of an intertwined web of stories. Correct? Am I explaining this correctly?
Yes. I mean, all rumored because they haven't said jack.
Right. But I mean,
Official.
I think that's kind of like what they're alluding to.
Yeah. So I can say this much. Okay, we're looking at a 2022 release here, right?
Right.
Okay. So they're talking about a video game,
Uh-huh.
a lot of information that's going to corroborate this timeline.
Right.
So comic books, novels, etc.
Yeah.
And we have Celebration Anaheim coming up in April.
Uh-huh.
I say stay tuned, because I think April is going to be where we're going to get these big reveals.
Oh. I would say I hope so, because, you know, like it or not, that's not that far away. 2022. Yeah,
right.
It seems like just yesterday we were first trailer for or not even, but you know, we just got done with The Last Jedi. Okay. We got 2 years, you know. That it's not that long ago.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I cut you off, but I feel like a lot of this stuff kind of needs to be spun up real quick.
Well, I mean, let's just put it into perspective for us. We started this show, right? We began The Wars and More around the time of The Last Jedi.
Yep.
Okay.
Before. Yep.
We were in conversation about this show and getting ready to deploy while I was in Orlando for Celebration.
Right.
So yeah, it doesn't seem like that long ago. It really don't. Time flies when you're having fun, right?
That's right.
So yeah, this seems about the right time. It really does. If they're going to do a bunch of stuff that's going to lead up to this, I think Anaheim is where it's going to be. This video game, this will be the sneak peek.
Right.
You're not going to see anything about this film.
No.
In 2022, there will be nothing about that. You know, next to nothing. But you're going to see the next era of Star Wars that they're going to be working with, which will be this video game, comic books, novels, etc. This is what you're going to see at Anaheim.
Right.
And it's going to seem on the surface small, but in the end, it's going to be big, because it's all going to tie into the next era of filmmaking for this. Can we call it a saga still?
I guess. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to find out, right?
For this franchise.
There we go.
It's a term we've never really used.
Well, we have.
We have, but we when we talk about films and we talk about Star Wars, we talk about the saga.
This is true, yes.
You know, we've not branched out into calling it the franchise.
Right.
I think now we have to. This is a new saga in the franchise.
Right.
And I believe that Anaheim is where we're going to get our first look into where this is headed.
Well,
like I said, not the film, but at least where the new material's headed.
Right. Yeah, let's hope.
And then as a side note to that, here's the Obi-Wan trailer.
Right. Oh, God.
Because have you seen Ewan lately?
No, I have not.
Oh, man, he looks full Obi-Wan.
Does he?
Oh, man. When you get a chance, look that up.
Oh, I will do that.
He's rocking the Obi-Wan look like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, I love it.
So, all right. Well, we talked about the Clone Wars coming up. One thing we didn't mention, and I think last thing we mentioned before we get out of here, is the Mandalorian. Wow, we talked last week about that, about the series so far and how much we loved it. We don't have to wait too long to get the next piece. So season 2 for The Mandalorian will premiere in fall of 2020.
Excellent.
So it seems like a big wait at this point because
oh yeah,
8 episodes. I'm sorry, it didn't feel like enough.
I know it. I know. We got far more than a film's worth of Star Wars in one chunk, right? Within a couple months, and it's not enough now. That's funny. Yeah, but yeah.
It's not enough because they did such a good job of just sucking us in.
Exactly. We all can't wait for this story to continue. And I think
and this one's for Hunter, the Darksaber. What?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. That is going to, I'm sure the story is going to be good there. I'd love to see them go back into the history of it and stuff. All that in live action. Just seeing that in live action. Oh my God.
And just seeing that, you knew it was the last episode of the season, because it's like, why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you reveal that and just like, hey, tune in next season?
Yeah, in classic serial format, of course. Cliffhanger.
Yeah.
It wasn't looking.
Yeah, I was
like
just
it was
talking
gonna
today.
be.
It's like I was talking to a friend who hasn't watched the Clone Wars.
Okay.
And we were talking about the end of that, and I was like, "Oh man, the Darksaber." He's like, "What?"
Oh.
I was like, "Gideon at the end, the saber he had." Oh yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, that's a thing.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, watch the Clone Wars, because that thing poked through the shell of that TIE fighter, and I was like, no.
Right.
And he stepped out with it. I'm like, no.
Yes, there it is.
So, yeah, Darksaber. They got some splaining to do.
For sure.
Yeah, one of my favorite Star Wars characters had that last we saw her.
Right.
So now I really want this guy to die because he killed her.
Yeah. Well, we can only assume that right now.
Hey, there's no way Bo-Katan lets that saber go.
Oh, I know.
Alive.
I know. But we don't know anything right now. And that's the beauty of it, right? I mean, it's this is the point where our minds run wild about what we're going to see coming down the pike on that. So that's awesome.
Like maybe Bo-Katan's the armor.
I don't know about that.
Just saying,
Could happen, but yeah.
All right. Well, of course, if you have anything to add, you can always email us. show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best way to get a hold of us. We're also on social media. We're at The Wars and More on Twitter. Facebook.com/thewarsandmore. You can find all that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Any final thoughts this week, Doug?
No, I think that about covers it.
All right. We'll talk next week.